A fundraiser will take place Sunday in Boston to help relieve the devastation from flooding in Pakistan. Our guest is one of the organizers from the Pakistan Association of Greater Boston. We'd like to welcome the chairperson, Tahir Chaudhry. Thank you very much for being with us.
Hi there, Chris.
I know this is going back a while, and this seems to be almost like a slow motion response compared to what happened with the earthquake in Haiti, but we're also talking about something which is huge in scale here.
Right, this is actually, people are saying it's bigger than Haiti, bigger than tsunami, and actually bigger than the previous earthquake. And certainly, unfortunately, a lot bigger than our own flood in North Carolina, so in Louisiana. Yeah.
So in Pakistan, we're talking about a flood that one way or another affected, what, 14 million people?
Yeah, actually, it's a little more than that. The latest numbers are, according to UN, over 20 million affected, over 5 million displaced. Actually, it should be said that a lot of them still are in remote areas, and people have to kind of drop food and medicine to them. About over 100,000 children actually affected by all this. So it's just very significantly huge proportion.
I imagine one of the most urgent concerns will be about people's health, right?
Yeah, at first it was issue with life, currently issue with food, and the more is going to be, according to UN again, is the health issues which are coming up from unclean water and unhygienic environment that people are having to live in.
The talk of cholera breaking out.
Yeah, there's talk of cholera definitely is breaking up. Angelina Jolie, actually, I was just listening to this the other day, and she was in some of those areas, and she was showing some of the people that are really devastated. There's a lot of need there right now for medicine.
Talk about what you can see people in Boston being able to do about this.
Yeah, essentially what had happened was, we are all certainly busy in our lives like everybody else. Most of us who are in this region have been here for a decade or more, myself being here 20 years. So sometimes, you have this disconnect. Like main non-Pakistani based Americans would also have. So it's not unusual for us to have similar disconnect. So after the floods, a friend of mine called me who is from the Peshawar area where the flood started from. And I was actually having a nice walk with my son, not too far from here, about a mile from here on the, by the river. And he calls, he says, Tahir, we have to do something. And to be quite frank with you, with all that disconnect we're talking about, I said, just do something about what? He said, the floods. And I said, okay, and let's talk about it. So he calls again the next day and says, Tahir, have you done something? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I haven't done anything. But then we started seriously thinking about that, and this connection started to make, and so we called very quickly. We had a meeting within 2-3 days, and we had about 40 people get together in Wayland. So that's how the whole thing started. And then we decided essentially to combine an event with the first Friday of Iftar, the month of Ramadan, first Iftar. And we had, to our surprise, we were expecting maybe 100-150 people to show up. So the support from the community was just amazing. We had completely a lot of people show up. We had well over 300 people at the event. It was not really meant to be a huge fundraiser, but we were still able to raise almost over $50,000.
By the way, with the money you hope to raise this weekend, is this basically going to a specified use, or are you going to maybe pass this on to one of the larger relief agencies?
Well, that is a very interesting question that you ask, and a question I've been asked very often, and a question that we really gave a great deal of thought about. And in fact, I sat down and wrote a couple of documents on it just a few nights before, because we were just so focused on trying to get the money and trying to get the help and having a lot of meetings and so on. But we did strategize it, and we put it out on the web, which is www.pak pakflood.org, pakflood. It's all there if you look at disbursements link, but I will describe it to you how it came about. There was a big argument about how do we disburse the money. Money was a little bit more than we had imagined. We were expecting about 30,000, we got over 50. Currently we are over 70. That's just the cash, and then we have in-kind donations, another at least 30,000. So we have been able to do over 100,000 so far. So we formed a committee of people everybody trusted. I'm part of that committee, and we thought about giving to Oxfam, for example. We thought about giving to a very big Oxfam-like large organization in Pakistan called ED, very well known, very well respected. We also talked about giving to UNICEF, and the thinking was, since the money comparing to what's needed, which is, as you know, is hundreds of millions of dollars, although we did okay, but it's really very small amount of money. So we wanted to make sure all of it goes to where it's needed without any of the overheads that the larger organizations have. So the way we came about deciding on that was, within our community we had people who had known charities in Pakistan firsthand, and we knew that they have zero overheads almost, and we knew their specific needs. So they started interacting with them, and we went through a due diligence process. We created a form very quickly, had them fill that out, and we then essentially went through that process. And once we were happy that all the money would go nowhere except for the flood victims, because we are concerned about other issues also, as you can imagine, that money not going supporting the people who could be working against the U.S. interests. We had a specific question asking them also, and did our due diligence also. So we decided at this point at least to give the little money that we had to these organizations that are well known within the community by certain people who we all trust. So that's essentially how we did that so far.
So anything you can tell me about what's going to be happening with the event on Sunday?
Yeah, essentially Sunday our goal is to have about 1,000 people there. It's being held at John Hancock Hall at 180 Berkeley Street. We are hoping to achieve visibility through this event most of all. It would not be a heavy fundraiser, so to speak. If people want to donate, they will be welcome, but that's not the only reason they should be coming there. They should be coming there to essentially to socialize, to enjoy, and give us some visibility to this cause. And we are also approaching people outside of Pakistani community, certainly South Asians and other our friends who are born here, to come and join us. We also have asked Mayor Menino to join us, and we are also approaching Governor Patrick and Senator Kerry and others, to come and help us out at the event.
I imagine this flood is going to have some consequences that will go on for a while, and I think one of the most important things is about the ability of people in this country to grow their own food.
Yeah, that is a huge concern. Actually, it's interesting that you asked this. What has happened is that the flood luckily did not touch larger cities, being Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Sakhar, Multan. Larger cities have not been affected in a significant way. But what has happened on the other hand is the areas which are agriculture, which grow food, so they are totally devastated, because they are the ones that they were obviously irrigation systems and so on, and they are totally destroyed. So effect, I think not only in the countrywide but nationwide, and at the national level will be also felt, because the Pakistan as a country does export. I think it's the highest exporter of cotton, for example, and it exports milk and other supplies to Middle East and various other countries. Fruit and so on around the world. So I think it is really a significant issue in terms of supply of food.
Right. We should mention one more time, people would like more information about this. There is that website you mentioned.
Yeah, the website again is www.pakflood, pakflood.org. So all the information is posted there, as well as current news updates and so on.